Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Smash Up expansion unboxing slash component video for that 70s expansion. This is going to be hitting on tropes of 70s characters. So if you're watching all the other videos, you got the gist of this. If this is maybe your first one, check out the first one, give more of an in-depth gameplay. But basically, you have 20 card decks. You smash them together to make one single card deck. So you have Disco Dancer Vigilantes. You play minions and actions from your hand to score on bases to get VP. Minions, actions, bases. The more VP you get, which are your VP tokens, you have one that looks like a disco floor, and the other one doesn't want to focus up. The other one looks like disco ball lights. When we hit 15 victory points, you win the game. It's fairly simple rules, lots of strategy though to it. Every expansion can be played by itself, but there's only 4 decks, so you end up having to play 1 versus 1. Then they have but if you buy multiple expansions, you can add it up. So you don't have to go buy a base set right away, which is really cool. So every time you buy a new faction, you can just use that to mix and match. So this set, we're going to have the Disco Dancers, the Kung Fu Fighters, the Truckers, and the Vigilantes. So we're going to hop into there and see what those all do. So they're also going to come with deck dividers, which are going to look like this. So each one will have their own deck divider. It's a double-sided one. Says what expansion they're from. I'm not going to pull all 4 out, but they're nice if you have a box set. Card will sit like this underneath it, so you can still even sleeve. You can still see the top of the card. See where it's at. So if you have one of the big box sets, all the previous sets, I think before this one, and maybe this one's included in there. I think this is a new one. All the previous sets, I think they had dividers in there in case you bought a box that didn't have one of the dividers yet. Then now all the current sets that come out, or single packs, will always have their own dividers, so you can add them into the box set. So that's really helpful there. Alright, so let's look at what we got today. So we're going to go with our truckers. So in the 70s, truckers were truckers are always still around. It's never went away. They're probably around before the 70s too. But they're a big theme in like TV shows and stuff like that. So that's kind of what this is sort of based on. So we have Good Buddy, which are like, see, these are going to be like their call signs. If you have an action on this base, draw a card, and their symbols, a little CB radio. We have 3 copies of Skinny Mini. Talent, if there's an action on this base, move this minion to another base and transfer the action from here to there. So these guys like having actions on the base is what it looks like. We have checking, we have Rubber Chicken. Ongoing, this means +1 power for each of your actions on this base. And our big card is, it's El Bandito. You may take control of an action on this base. Ooh, that's neat. I don't think we've seen taking control of actions yet. Talent, playing extra action on this base or transferring action from one base to another. Alright, so there's our different trucker minions. Let's see what they can do. We have Cab Over Pete. Playing a base. Talent, transfer this action to another base to transfer or move another card you control from here to the same base. So you can move stuff around. Which truckers, they're all about moving around, delivering goods. This is what they're going to be doing. We have 2 copies of the Convoy, which is showing like a bunch of truckers in a row. That's what they call a convoy. Playing a base. Ongoing. You have +1 power here for each of your actions on this base, including this one. And lots of them guys getting bonuses for that. We have a high-speed chase with the El Bandito. Play on a base. Transfer this action to another base to move one of your minions from here to there. That minion gains +3 power till the end of turn. Deck Tora. So this looks like a Japanese truck. Crazy. Playing a base. Transfer this action to another base to move up to 3 of your minions from here to there. So it helps you move 3 of your guys. We got Hot Wire. We need to steal a truck. Choose an action, play it on a base, transfer it to another base, and or take control of it. Because if you take control of them, you also own it, so you gain the bonuses for... You don't own it, but you have control of it, so you gain the bonuses from it. We have an armored truck, which has a little teddy bear strapped to the front. Playing a base, ongoing. Your minions here cannot be destroyed or moved by other players' cards. And then finally, we have Fixing to Fix It. Choose an action in your discard pile that can be played on a base. Play it as an extra action. So these guys would definitely work with another faction. The truckers also have the rally card. Special. Before a base scores, choose one of your minions there to gain 2 power for each action you control on that base till the end of turn. Yes, I can get pretty powerful of how many different cards they have that do that. Yeah, I like it, and they're all combined together. I only wish that in the artwork they would have actually had like the 4 different characters instead of just random people, but what do you do? It likes to have action in play, or likes to move around. Like, you know, Bear Cavalry likes to move, so that would work well with these guys. Or I want to say, was it Cyborg Apes that like to have location? No, they played stuff on themselves. There's another faction that likes to have actions in play. I can't think of it right now. So we have 2 different locations. We have the Greasy Spoon, which is like a little hole-in-the-wall diner. When an action played on this base would go to the discard pile, shuffling to its owner's deck instead. And then we have the Truck Stop. At the start of your turn, you may transfer an action played on another base to here, or from here to another base. The 7-7 instead of a 7-11. There are truckers. And kind of with that theme, we're going to jump into Vigilantes. These are your, like, you got... Oh, yeah. So, these guys are going to be a little bit special. These are going to be, like, your 70s action stars. Your crime TV shows. So we have Dusty Henry. So, instead of having a bunch of, like, different cost minions, this is another one of these decks that has all different 4-cost minions. Dusty Henry is supposed to be Dirty Harry. You may shuffle a minion here into its owner's deck. So you're going to get rid of some stuff. Death Wisher. There's a big movie called Death Wish. I'm guessing that's what this is based off of. Once per turn, after another player destroys a minion they don't control, you may destroy one of that player's minions. So he gets his revenge. We have Shift instead of Shaft. Place up to 2 minions from your discard pile on top of your deck. Foxy Green, reference like Foxy Brown, like your 70s spy woman. Ongoing. After another player plays a card or uses a talent that directly affects one or more minions here, place a +1 counter on this minion. Bojack. Ongoing. After a minion moves, you may move this minion to the same base, give it +1 power till the end of turn. Stoneford, Rockford, like Rockford Files. Search your deck for an action, place it in your hand. Our final is going to be Jackie Bill. Oh, I'm not honestly sure who that's supposed to be. Ongoing. After another player plays an action, you may have this minion gain +2 power till the end of turn. So again, it's neat when they do these, etc. All the minions are the same power. They're a little bit more overpowered, but they all have a little bit different effects. There's not a big theme running between them. They all kind of do their own little things, but it also makes the deck kind of interesting. So we have Make My Day. Destroy a minion of 3 power or less on a base where you have a minion. Draw a card. Kind of thing that you can get rid of criminals. 2 copies of Tough It Out. Play on a minion. Ongoing. This minion has 2 power and cannot be destroyed. Scared Straight. Keeping the guy out of the gangs. These are the fighters. Move another player's minion from a base where you have a minion to another base. Playing extra action. Feeling Lucky. Shoot Jason of Argonaut. Alright, are you feeling lucky, punk? Playing a minion. Ongoing. After this minion's controller plays an action, destroy the minion if this card is still on it. So you can play on another player's minion, and then if they play an action, you can destroy them for playing that. We got Shrug It Off. He's all beat up. Playing a base, Talent. Cancel the abilities of this base until the start of your next turn. Knocked in your next week. Choose a minion, shuffle it into its owner's deck. We got Let's Finish This. Play on a base. If you and another player have a minion here at the start of your turn, reduce the breakpoint of this base to 0 till the end of turn. The Revenge. Play special. After a base scores where you didn't win, move one of your minions there to another base instead of the discard pile. A Whole Lot Meaner. One minion gains +3 power till the end of turn. I'm going to dish out some Street Justice. Playing a base. Ongoing. Your minions here are not affected by other players' cards. And then we got 2 copies of Who Loves Ya, Baby. Draw a card for each minion you control of 4 power or more, which all your cards are 4 power or more. Just to be another one that might work really well with, be interesting to play with, like, the superheroes or the princesses, because they all have minions of high power like that. But they're all random effects, too. That's the thing that makes some decks really interesting. So here we have the Mean Streets. After a player plays an action that affects a card here, each other minion may play a +1 power counter on a minion here. And the Hideout. Minion heroes cannot be affected by other players' cards. And the Fighters is a reference to the Warriors. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one where I like when they do some of these. They don't do them overly often, so they don't get, they don't take over everything, but where every character is different. And there's not like a unifying theme to the deck. Because now you can mash it up with anything a lot better, because when you're playing, then it's kind of just helping out. Alright, now we're going to have some disco dancers. So we have 4 copies of the Roller. Ongoing. After this minion is directly affected by a standard action, place a +1 counter on it. If it had no such counters when the action was played. So it's standard, I think, as opposed to an extra action. But this could be something that moves it or gives it does something like tries to do anything to it really. Just plays a card on it. Interesting. We'll see how that works. So we have 3 copies of the Diva. Once during each turn, when a standard action directly affects one or more of your other minions here, you may choose this minion to be affected the same way. So you're going to copy what happens. 2 copies of Disco Lou. There's a reference like Disco Stew's, famous reference to a disco. I love the text though too. Playing extra action or playing action from your discard pile on top of your deck. And then we're going to have the Dancing King instead of the Dancing Queen. Ongoing. When a standard action directly affects one or more minions here, you may choose another minion here to be affected the same way. So these are all about like standard actions doing stuff, and then they copy them. So we're going to get, this is fun one, kind of like the ants that had, giant ants that had Queen Song. There's going to be a bunch of disco songs. So we have It's Raining Men. You got some robots in the back. So playing extra minion. There's a bunch of slots of I Will Survive. There's a shark back there. It should be like Aretha Franklin. Special. After base scores, return one of your minions here to its owner's hand instead of its discard pile. I'm so excited. Move one of your minions, draw a card. So this would be a thing where if you played on one of them guys, you move them, draw a card, and then you could do that same action again to move another character and draw another card. Here we have We Are Family. Playing a mix, just like the village people. You like cop, cowboy, Indian, and supposed to be construction worker, but that guy just looks like a thug. So we have playing a minion, ongoing. Once each turn when a standard action directly affects one or more other minions here, you may choose this minion to be affected the same way. Get Down Tonight. Fighting some zombies and monsters, it looks like. The vampires. Give a minion +2 power till the end of turn. Draw a card. We have Staying Alive. Choose one of your minions in play. Play a copy of it from your discard pile to your hand. Disco Inferno. That's kind of neat. They haven't had any duplicates. Each player may play one power counter on one of their minions. For each minion affected this way, draw a card. There's Dancer with one of the mages. And we have Last Dance. Each player may destroy a minion they control. For each minion actually destroyed, its controller gains 1 VP. We missed 2 of the Disco Dancer cards. We're going to throw these in here really quick. So, Celebration. Play 2 extra action cards. And then turn the beat around. Ooh, that looks bad. Just going to kick him in the face. Choose a minion to gain +1 power till the end of turn. For each minion affected by this, a minion there of your choice gains -1 power till the end of your turn. Special, you may play this before a base scores. So one of your minions gets +1, plus they'll all spread out, and then you can give other minions -1. So you can usually turn the tides on that base really quickly right there. So that's actually neat. Alright, so just one quick rule clarification on this before we jump to our last faction. There's actually a double page here that kind of explains how some of these different characters work. A lot of it's the disco dancers because they have just standard action. But also kind of affects some of the other ones. But just like a quick one, a standard action they mention on, and then we're gonna have Boogie Wonderland. Play after a player plays a standard action that affects one or more of their minions here. They draw a card. And Funky Town. Once per turn, when a standard action directly affects one or more of your minions here, you may have it affect another of your minions the same way. The other page here is the action does not say play on a base or play a minion. It does its job and leaves. So it's something that's like gain a thing, or move a thing. So, like they said, for example, if Andy plays Get Down Tonight, giving Disco Lou here 2 power. Each diva also gets 2 power, copying it. One diva cannot copy the other since it did not directly affect them. It uses their ability. And the drawing a card part does not affect the minion, so they only get to draw one card. But if they play I'm so excited to move Disco Loot, either diva copies the move, it has to be the same base. So if like one wants to move, they both have to move to the same base. It's not going to be separate for each different one. It's going to copy wherever they go. And this is like, after scoring of enemy plays, I will survive to return Disco Loot with a hand. The divas may also be returned. So there's 3 different examples of how that works. But the note is they can only copy one ability per turn. So if they somehow can play 2 actions in a turn and they play 2 of these, the divas can only play 1. So you gotta decide which one you want to copy. Doesn't have to be the first one. But just so you also know that if you buy this, there's some good rule clarification in the book on how some of them effects work. And the other ones go into more stuff about basis scoring and other abilities working with the other characters, but I don't want to go into all that right now. I just wanted to show you that there was some stuff in there. So now we're going to have our Kung Fu Fighters. And we have 3 copies of Cricket. You may transfer a +1 power counter from one minion to another. And the Cricket's just a node to like Karate Kid or lots of that where they call like a you trainee grasshopper. So we're gonna get 3 copies of the Drunken Master. If this minion has no power counters on it, place a +1 power counter on it. So it's only gain 1, but that's not bad either. We have 2 copies of the Lady Whirlwind. If this minion has no power counters on it, destroy a minion here with less power to place a +1 power counter on it. And our final one is going to be Dragon Warrior. Ongoing. This minion cannot be destroyed. Talent, transfer any number of +1 power counters from one minion to another. So that's just kind of neat, because you can play him, and it's kind of like beating up the ninjas. And it's supposed to be Bruce Lee from Way of the Dragon, I believe. Or Enter the Dragon. I'm sorry. Enter the Dragon. But what's neat about this is because, like, with lots of these level 5 guys, the big ones, their abilities, they can play stuff that really affect the other minions. So all the other ones gain they can gain bonuses if they don't have a counter. Play him, transfer them counters to him, or to somebody, or another maybe one of these knock guys. Then they can keep gaining their other counters. So that's definitely cool. Alright, 1 second. Alright, now we're going to get to the action cards. The names of these cards are awesome. I'm actually just going to go through all the names of these before I actually show off all the cards. So we have Ho Ho. Everybody was kung fu fighting. They were as fast as lightning. They fought with expert timing. It was an ancient Chinese art. And everybody knew their part. And it was a little bit frightening. And let's get it on. So that's the songs are the lyrics to the Kung Fu Fighting song by Carl Douglas, which is really cool. Alright, so now let's actually look at what these cards do. I just want to, because we've had other stuff like the disco ones where they had names of songs, and the Queen, where they had names of Queen songs, but this one actually plays like in order of like kind of like the songs. So it's really cool. Alright, so let's get it on. Choose one of your minions to destroy one or more minions at the same base with a total power less than or equal to that minion. A little bit frightening. Choose one of your minions. Choose a minion at its base with less power to place 2 power counters on it. Choose one of your minions. Destroy a minion at its base with less power to place 2 power counters total on your minions there. So that's kind of neat. Destroy stuff and it gets more powerful. Everybody knew their part. Here we have the king. Choose one of your minions, playing extra minion with less power on the same base. The ancient Chinese art. Play on a base. Talent. Place a +1 power counter on a minion here, or transfer any number of power counters from one minion here to another minion here. Expert timing. Choose one of your cards. Transfer any number of power counters from it to another card, or use a talent in extra time. Especially, you may play this before a base scores. These guys really manipulate them power counters a lot. We have fast as lightning. 2 copies of that. Choose a minion until the end of your turn. It gains +2 power. If it would go to the discard pile, it is returned to its owner's hand instead. So you can play it and you can score quick, and then you can get your card back. Oh Ho Hoa, the Kung Fu Academy. Oh, you're throwing kids out the, or guys out the window. Playing a base. Ongoing. After another player plays a minion here, place a +1 counter on one of your minions. And then the final one, we have everybody was Kung Fu Fighting. So we have choose a base. Each player with a minion there destroys another player's minion there. So I could get really crazy, just a big destruction fest. And then go look at the artwork here. So we have the Lady Whirlwind and the Master, and the Drunken Master. So we have our 3 martial artists, plus the Cricket. So we have our 4. But then we're also going to get a Granny down here. We have an Alien. We have the King Rex. We have the Jedi and the Chewbacca character, and the black one would be, I'm gonna guess it's probably supposed to be Shaft, but it could also be Night Stalker from the Vampire set. But yeah, that's kind of cool, all the different artwork. Alright, then the last thing we'll have for this is we'll have our 2 locations. We're going to get an Ancient Dojo. After you place a minion here, place a +1 power counter on each of your minions here with less power than that minion. And we're going to have Tournament Site. When this base scores, the winner gains +1 VP for each player with no power here. So yeah, that's actually kind of neat. If you can defeat everybody else, which this card set, this faction looks like they do really well. You can score a bunch of extra points. You'll at least gain 2, but if you destroy everybody else, you're playing a 4-player game, you can gain up to 5. So that's kind of cool. So that's our Kung Fu Fighters. So that will be our That 70s expansion. This will be one of the ones where they didn't release any Titans for this set yet. But that would be definitely cool. I could see something interesting. It'd be interesting to see what they could come up with this. But again, they're not fantastical creatures or factions. They're more based in reality. So it'd be interesting to see how they could incorporate that. But yeah, definitely interesting set. Some neat characters. Some cool effects. See you guys later. Bye.